Howdy folks, Texas Grebner here with Texas Grebner Outdoors. New videos every Saturday, so if you don't want to miss out on your Texas Grebner Outdoors Saturday morning cartoon awesomeness, make sure to click subscribe and check my channel every Saturday for new videos. I love reading your comments and I really do appreciate all of you that watch. I'm in my backyard right now, fine-tuning my sights for the rest of archery season because it's muzzleloader season this Saturday, but I need to catch you guys up on what happened last week in Illinois archery season 2016. The snow had finally arrived, and the guns were silent yet again. I was a bit disheartened by the fact that 2 of my trail cameras had been stolen off of this property during the previous gun season. However, such is life, and the hunting story goes on, and the slow descent into madness continues. Frigid air clawed at my face, but at least the wind was right. Deer were moving all around me. I could see them silhouetted against the white blanket as they moved within the tree line. Every day of hunting is exactly the same, but every day of hunting is just a little bit different. I do not bear any ill will toward gun hunters. However, the only deer that I ever killed with a shotgun, I could have killed with a bow. It was that close. And so I don't even bother to hunt the gun seasons because I am on a quest to take a buck with my recurve. Not just any buck, but a buck that I can be proud of. The winter night was coming on fast and deer movement picked up, at least everywhere except for underneath of my tree. Everything was so perfect and frozen and beautiful. Such is the majesty of the late season archery hunt. And as the winter night continued to come down, I forced myself, despite the cold, to hunt every last inch of the daylight that I could, hoping against hope. Earlier in the day, the temperature had gotten above freezing, and so much of the snow had melted. I was sitting up behind the cattail pond in the pine trees, almost hopeful that with the dropping temperature that was dropping along with the sun, that deer would be coming into the thermal cover. I found myself very disillusioned, with a cocktail of melancholy and desperation and futility sloshing around in my head, punctuated by those little white lies that our minds tell us that we know as hope. I hunt whitetail under less than ideal circumstances, and it is very difficult to chase the North American 29 when your curse species is the first one, being whitetail. I had done everything that I possibly could, figuratively speaking, to appease the gods of the hunt. I had even competed in the Train to Hunt challenge in the traditional division. But yet, it seemed like all futility. Hunting and religions are inexplicably linked, but still I remained, keeping the faith, watching, waiting, and listening as the bitter cold nipped at my nose and clawed at my cheeks, and the road thundered past, until the very last of shooting light I remained in my stand. I will not pretend to you that I am a good deer hunter, and the gods of the hunt are not entirely at fault in their visceral mystery, for I had been given chances that I had blown, and there is still much that I have to learn. I had pushed clear to the back of the cornfield and found a well-used trail next to a deadfall tree that I had secreted myself away in. It was a little bit too late for a good hunt by the time that I finally got into the woods and got real life out of the way, with the daylight slipping like sand through the hourglass away from me. But every day of hunting is exactly the same, and every day of hunting is just a little bit different. And I had not pushed into this untouched part of the property by me until now, but desperation was pushing me, despite my hopes to not push deer around the property by the time that I had got hiked in. Watching, waiting, listening, the occasional flock of geese flying overhead, the wind in my face, set up 5 yards away from the trail, ready for the perfect shot with the deadfall shielding me. But yet, nothing came down the frigid trail. It was well below freezing and dropping further as the sun went all the way down, and my hunt came to an end with the muzzleloader season approaching. Every time we venture into the woods as hunters, as human predators, we test ourselves, at least if you're doing it right. Every day of hunting is exactly the same, but every day of hunting is just a little bit different. And every time we venture into the woods, it is a brand new test. It may be a test of skill, or it may be a test of endurance. And testing yourself is part of hunting. A man can break himself against nature, and nature simply will not care. The mountain does not care. The woods do not care. The bitter winds of winter do not care. And all you can do as a pathetic human being in the wild is hope to endure. Watching, waiting, listening. The wind clawing at my face, and I was set up along the deer trail. Everything was so majestically savage and austere in a violent beauty. Freezing, numbing cold, testing my willpower to remain. I was set up in the deadfall along the deer trail. The occasional squirrel would scurry behind me, sending my nerves on edge. Hoping, praying, watching, waiting, listening. I had gotten in about noon. And so I sat, my fingers burning from the wrist down, as the cold began to penetrate my layers after hours and hours of exposure. But hoping that a deer would come past my log, the perfect ambush 10 yards away from the trail on the oak ridge, wishing and cursing myself for not hunting this spot earlier in the season. But hindsight is 20/20. And I am full of mistakes. I will never claim to be a good deer hunter. I will never claim to be a good hunter. But by God, I will hang on to my deer season until the last dog is hung. Because you cannot take a deer if you are not in the woods. And I take great pride in the fact that I am willing to go out and sit and watch and wait and listen, knowing that my chances of success are slim to none. But there is that one chance that things might go right, might go according to plan. And so, gritting my teeth against the cold, I remained, determined to remain until the last of light. It is as exciting as it is disappointing, straining your frost-burned ears against the wind, trying to differentiate what might be hoofbeats on the leaves, as opposed to simply wind-tossed down foliage. What is sexy is a screaming September bull in the Rockies at 15 yards while the weather is nice. What is not sexy is sitting and slowly feeling your hands go numb. There is a primal terror that comes with that creeping, aching, burning sensation that frustratingly climbs down your hands into your fingertips as you sit, wondering If a deer did show up, could you even get the bow back, or would your fingers become numbed flippers, useless? But Santiago hunted 84 days without catching a fish. And so my hunting story goes on as the night of winter came down. The snow stung my face as it whipped around in the wind. And everything was perfect in a terribly beautiful way, because nature simply does not care. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching. As always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please got my friends over at SOETacticalgear.com. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching. Texas Grebner Outdoors.